Díomh is mise Vicky Flanagan, fáilte roimh chuig seisiún thachráilte éire, tágmid le chéile lína gach seachtain chun ceangal a chothú leis an talún fanathe d'éireann. Hello, my name is Vicky Flanagan. Welcome to Sacred Sessions Ireland, where we gather online every week to connect to the sacred land of Ireland. I am an intuitive energy worker, Reiki master, and daughter of Ireland. And you can probably hear that I'm relearning Irish. So forgive me if my pronunciation is not perfect for those that are fluent. I find it more and more important to try to add some of my native mother tongue into these sessions. So if it's just the introduction, I'm so proud to be able to speak even a little bit. For anyone that wants to work one-on-one with me, I do offer energy healing online and in person. So details will be in the caption of this video. And Sacred Session Ireland offers weekly meditations connecting us to the sacred land, the sacred sites through Ireland. So these sessions for anyone that are wanting to reconnect to the land of Ireland, to rebuild their sense of belonging with the land, with the earth, and with themselves. I recommend joining live sessions if you can, because we get to be part of a community and ask questions, share our experiences and any insights that we gain during these sessions and meditations. And then for today, I'm super excited to invite new templates of rest with the Hill of Ward. So the Hill of Ward is also known as Tlachtga, which is located in County Meath here in Ireland. So it's an earthwork that has 4 ditches and earth banks. So that's quite unique. So not many sites have this structure. Another site that would have a similar structure would be its famous neighbour, which is the Hill of Tara, and that's about 12 miles away from the Hill of Ward. Archaeologists believe that the number of ditches, these kind of earth banks like this, they correspond to the status of the site. So that means that the Hill of Ward in the late Bronze Age or the early Iron Age would have been of high status. And we know that because it is a space, a centre of celebration, ritual, ceremony, dating back to the Neolithic period, and also the High Kings would have gathered here for lots of different festivals and celebrations. And then today, the Hill of Ward is the center of the Great Fire Festival. So it's associated with the festival Samhain. And Samhain is a pre-Christian tradition where a great fire was lit on the Hill of Ward, and all the priests and the druids of Ireland gathered to do rituals and ceremonies to mark the beginning of the Celtic New Year, which meant like all fires in the kingdom were ordered to be extinguished, and they had to be relit, rekindled with the flame of the great fire. So this was a tradition that prepared people for the onset of the darkness of winter, and also promised that the powers of light would again prevail and overcome the darkness. So Samhain is a pre-Christian tradition, it began in Ireland, and we know it today as Halloween. So that's there's so much more with regards to Samhain, and it is celebrated every year. The Hill of Ward is private farmland, actually. So I do believe that it's open once a year for Samhain, which is October 31st, Halloween, and November 1st. So for that festival, I think it's called the Puka Festival here, and it's open. So when I actually went, it might be helpful if I share an image of the Hill of Ward, because it's always nice to get an idea. I was looking for some of the best views, and I found an aerial view. So I'll, let me just share my screen. One second. Never mind. Sorry, guys. Yeah, this should work. So this is on the Boyne Valley website. And here's an aerial view of the Hill of Ward. So this isn't the earthwork. These are the ditches and the banks. So at the Hill of Tara, it's very similar to what this looks like here. And a lot of the time we call these like fairy hills as well. So I will be getting into the mythology of the Hill of Ward or Tlachtga. And, just to talk about when I visited, it is on private land. So when I visited, I was kind of disappointed that I couldn't actually walk on the sacred land. I had to stand at the edge of the field and, introduce myself from the edge of the field beside my car. And I brought offerings and gifts. So, yeah, it was a little bit disappointing. When I did tune into the land and the energy there, the mystical energy that's there, I could sense goddess energy that's above the land, hovering above the land in the sky, we'll say, and then also vortex energy that's beneath the land, very like deep beneath the earth. So this, unfortunately, we will have to revisit this sacred land, because when I tuned in, I introduced myself and I asked the land, what support can I offer? What do you need from me? And I heard rest. So, it is clear that the land is being farmed and was asking for rest. So it's a little bit sad because obviously I can't provide that physical rest that it may need. So I just offered some energy work so that I could do what I can do, offer my skills in that sense. And that's what we're going to offer today. We're going to offer healing for the Hill of Ward to Tlachtga. And we're going to continue with the theme of rest. So that means, exploring rest in today's society and also kind of looking at the Celtic ancestors and mythology of how rest is woven into nature and how we can live in harmony with our nature. So as an energy worker, I'm going to be facilitating us in the meditation at the end, where we can offer support and healing to the land, and then I'll walk us through some the energy work so that we can invite new templates of rest for our own lives. So we'll definitely still get a healing in today, but I'm not going to ask the land to do more labor than it's already doing. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. And so that's kind of my read on the Hill of Ward. I know that Tlachtga, that goddess energy, exists there, and she's definitely the sun goddess. So she's a goddess of creation, of illumination, and in some stories, she's the goddess of lightning. So Tlachtga is derived from the words Lach, which means earth, and Ga, meaning spear. So, the goddess of creation and lightning. She, in my opinion, supports us living and igniting our inner divine flame. So for anyone that wants to work with their sacred purpose, the reason why we came here, why we're on the planet, I think Tlachtga is such a beautiful energy to work with. Super warm and loving and wise goddess energy. And again, for today, we're going to just look at the theme and we're going to offer our support today. But we will absolutely return to the Hill of Ward and Tlachtga when it's right that we can actually collaborate with these beings a little bit more authentically. So we're not pulling on them for more labor. So to get into the mythology of Tlachtga, she, as I said, she's a sun goddess, and she is known to be the daughter of a powerful blind druid. He would have been part of that kind of supernatural race at the time, the Tuatha De Danann, and his name was Mag Rua. So Mag Rua could grow to gigantic size, and he could cause storms with his breath. And Tlachtga and her father, Mag Rua, they went to Italy under the tuition of a magician named Simon Magnus. And during this time, Tlachtga learned all the skills from her father being a druid, and the three of them built a flying machine in the shape of a wheel, and that, I think it was called the Rot Ramach. So hopefully I pronounced that okay. But the name Mag Rua means devotee of the wheel. And devotee could also be seen in that language as slave of the wheel. So we've got, a name could be, devotee of the wheel or slave of the wheel. And the wheel, this kind of that circular shape in the Celtic traditions is really important symbol. So it typically symbolizes the sun. And here we see it as this flying machine that really powerful druid and his daughter, this sun goddess, traveled in and kind of were showing off all their powers. So it also, the wheel, the Celtic calendar is in the shape of a wheel. So just like that flying machine, just like, and also people say that the Celtic calendar is in the shape of a disc. So to represent the sun or the moon. And that kind of makes sense because since the farming societies that existed thousands of years ago relied so much on the waxing and waning cycles of the moon, and the Celtic calendar would have been the great clock for these farming societies, and it highlighted just how influenced they were by astronomy. So the Celtic calendar, I can share that. I can find that as well because it's sometimes, again, it's nice to have an image. But the Celtic calendar, it's made up of festivals and celebrations that welcome each season. So it helped to support people that lived off the land so that they could prepare for each season and work in harmony with nature, with the earth, the sea, the sky. And it was a way to predict the season and make time for harvest. So they relied so heavily on this great clock. So let me share, have some images. Here we go. I just did a Google search. Okay, so I think this one is a nice image. Okay, so this just kind of gives us an idea of the Celtic calendar. See the way it's in a disc or a wheel format. It's kind of similar to other traditions that we would have seen as well. This calendar moves from dark to light, from yin energy into yang energy. So typically the Celtic New Year is Samhain. So it begins here, Samhain, as I said, the end of October, early November. And this is when the harvest was kind of at its peak and it was getting ready, the onset of winter. And then we have the winter solstice. We have Imbolc, which is, and just to go back to the winter solstice, this winter is a time of stillness, a time of reflection, where we can look within and contemplate how the year went, what's ready to die, so what can we make space for. It's time where new dreams can be dreamt. Then we move into Imbolc, and this is a time where we're preparing for spring. So what resources do we need to gather for these new ideas that we have, these new seeds that we're wanting to plant? And then we've got the spring equinox. Obviously, we're welcoming spring and the light half of the year. So we're moving from darkness into light. So it's a great celebration. And obviously, it's a time where we're beginning to really nourish those seeds that we planted, becoming devoted to the work. And also with the spring equinox, it's a time where the solar and lunar energies come into balance. So it's an opportunity for us to balance the polarities within ourselves. Then we move into Bealtaine in May, and then we've got the summer solstice, then we have Lunasa, then we have the autumn equinox, and then back into Samhain. So you can kind of see how we move through the seasons. So I hope that visual was helpful. Yeah, so in the Celtic wheel, we can see how we move from dark into light. And again, beginning with the new year was actually on for Samhain. Moving then in, they gave themselves so much space, and rest was woven in to the calendar. There was actually a time for rest. It's a really important time to create, was during rest. So Mag Rua, his name being devotee of the wheel, or you can also see it as slave of the wheel. We can ask ourselves, like, are we living in devotion to our great clock or our calendars now? Are we living in harmony with the cycles of nature, or have we become slaves to time and how we engage with the seasons? So it's kind of food for thought when we look back on how our ancestors, because they relied so heavily on nature, recognizing themselves one and the same, we are not separate from nature. And I think in this illusion that we live our lives on, it can actually be our own detriment. This is where burnout comes in, exhaustion comes in. And, continue with that mythological story. Another part of the story, which is quite saddening, and there's some talk that, there was a Christian influence or a religious influence on the story. But while they were in Italy, Tlachtga and her dad, Margaret, Tlachtga was actually raped by Simon Magnus's 3 sons, and she fell pregnant. Or she became pregnant. I shouldn't say fell pregnant, but she became pregnant. And Tlachtga, even though it was, obviously a very traumatic thing and was very deeply saddened, she decided to return to Ireland, where she, went to the hill and birthed 3 sons. She died during childbirth. So Tlachtga, she chose the sacred land at the Hill Award for her son's birthing place and for her resting place. So in Celtic mythology, she's become a symbol for fertility, for death and rebirth, as well as illumination, and that sun goddess. The number 3 as well is very auspicious in Celtic tradition. So, that she was raped by 3 brothers and she had 3 sons. And I also saw a really beautiful image of a painting of Tlachtga, the goddess, and there was the tri-spiral that was on her belly. So the tri-spiral is a really common Neolithic art, and there's so many different interpretations of the tri-spiral. Some people say, past, present, future. I know religion, there's the Father, Son, the Holy Ghost. There's earth, sky, and sea. And for today, I'd like to look at the 3: mind, body, and soul. So that's what I would like to use as our container as we explore rest, considering that we are whole beings, we are mind, body, soul, just like the wheel, we are whole. So if we look at rest through that lens of wholeness, we're living times now where holistic health and wellness is less woo-woo. And it's just more widely accepted and talked about. So as a collective, we're now beginning to value the whole person. So it's no more one size fits all kind of solution or prescription. Especially for illness, we're now considering health and well-being for our mind, our body, and our soul. So even illness, we can't really prescribe something for one organ without considering the whole body and how it impacts the whole body. So this value of wholeness, in my opinion, is borrowed from Eastern traditions. I say borrowed because in the West, in Western culture, we're so largely driven by capitalism. And actually we work within the confines of capitalist structures. So by capitalism, I'm talking about this need, this drive for more. And that kind of need, that drive has just structured the societies that we live in. And it's structured the societies that we rest in. Even saying that doesn't really sound right, does it? Like if I say we rest in a capitalist society, I don't even know if that's possible. So if we look at our values as a collective, we value productivity, achievement, status, wealth, money. I don't know if I would put rest in there or wholeness in there. It doesn't really fit into our core values as a capitalist culture. So even if it's not particularly my truth or my value, I'm living within that society, that system of a collective core value. So I'm still engaging with it. I'm still relating to it, even if it's not, authentic to me or who I am. So we must ask ourselves, since rest is, an integral part of nature. We see it in the Celtic calendar, we see it in nature itself. So if it's already woven into the cycles of our life, how do we engage in it? How do we show up for rest in the society that we live in today? Because if it's already there, but our values don't value rest, we're going to have this like internal resistance, the dissonance. So that's always going to be happening. So even if we do try to engage in rest, even if it's really meaningful rest, there might also be some resistance within, or guilt or shame. And that's bigger than us. Okay. That's bigger than what we're trying to do. It's not our fault. Like, I suppose like a good example would be, and I don't know about you, but when the pandemic first hit, I was really stressed out. I was living in Vancouver. I was so worried about my family in Ireland. And, I needed to bring in more wellness. I needed to bring in more self-care to ground myself and to rest my mind, because it was constantly running in the background. So at the beginning, it felt so beautiful to bring in yoga again, and I could do like an hour of yoga and not feel like I felt like I had so much more time in my day to meditate and do really sacred ways of resting in my day. And then over time during the pandemic, it started to slip into what I'd call like achievement wellness or productivity wellness. So I was like, right, every night I'd lie in bed and I'd be thinking, right, I got yoga in for 20 minutes before work, and then I'm going to try and meditate on my lunch for 10 minutes. I'm going to go for a walk, but I'm going to listen to a podcast while I'm walking. And that podcast is to do with mental health. So that'll be good. And then, I'm going to come back and I'm going to try, eat something really healthy. And then I'm going to read for 20 minutes. And then, so I was literally lying in bed going, check, check, check. And then, you go on Instagram or something, and you see one of your friends is able to do a headstand. And you're like, well, I can't do a headstand. So I'm obviously not doing this whole rest thing right. So now I need to do more and more and more. And before I knew it, I was like, oh my God, the ways that I absolutely adore rest has now become my coping mechanisms. It's another thing on my to-do list. It's just back to that achievement mindset. Like, how much wellness can I fit in my day? Like, am I good enough yet? Like, have I done enough to be able to actually rest? Like, even my ways of rest have caused exhaustion, and it took me a really, really long time to see that. And even a few of my friends, we kind of laughed about it, because it's just like, Jesus, this is totally ingrained in us. It's really difficult not to turn this into achievement and productivity. And what can I get from this? It's no longer sacred practice. It's now become it's an external internal mentality. It's what looks good. It's no more what's feeding me on the inside. It's what looks good outside inside mentality. So I wanted to kind of figure out, what does rest look like then when we do value wholeness? And I think we need to start with the mind here, specifically the subconscious mind, because, as I said, even if we place rest in our day for the body or for the mind, if rest doesn't feel safe, then we're not actually going to be able to rest fully. So even if we're getting okay sleep, we're eating really well, we're eating clean, we're exercising, but the subconscious mind is running wild in the background and holding tension, stress, worry, fear, then we're not truly resting. So a good way to rest could be to spring clean the subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind is hardwired to keep us safe. It holds all of our beliefs, our memories, all of our skills, like everything that we've ever done is held in the subconscious mind, and its primary job is to keep us safe. And because it wants to keep us safe, it ensures that we respond exactly the way we've been conditioned and programmed. So if we've grown up in environments, where, and what I mean by environments is the culture at the time, the society at the time we grew up in, our family values, the media. If we grew up where safe was, or rest was seen as being unsafe. Rest was seen as being like unproductive, lazy, it's something to be earned, it's something just for rich people or people that are privileged. You can think yourself of the programs that you might have received growing up about rest. These programs are what trying to keep us safe, right? So we need to kind of bring in lots of compassion when we're dealing with this, because that's the message that we received and that's what we're conditioned to believe. Even if even if programs are inaccurate, they cause harm, if they're still running the background, we are still going to act in congruence with that, because it's a matter of safety for the subconscious mind. So even if we do bring rest into our day, as I said, there's that primal part of us that is hardwired to keep us alive, keep us safe. So we're not really going to have the permission to rest. And then that's going to manifest in different ways, where we feel stressed out. Again, we feel the guilt or the shame. We're just not living in alignment with our values. So again, I would ask that, like, if people want to write in the chat, even some programs that you might have received growing up, I definitely think like some was, what about the one, you'll sleep when you're dead? That's a big one. For me, it was very lazy to rest. Like, you were seen as kind of someone that was not contributing to the world. Maybe rest is for people that have already made it. You've got your money in the bank, so now you can rest. But yeah, I'm just kind of looking at no rest for the wicked. That's funny. Yeah, that's the one that's also drugged in. Rest for Sunday only. And even that, the rest for Sunday only was kind of almost for an off-planet God. Wasn't even for the God within, it was for some, we're going to go into worship here. Rest for the wicked. So maybe for the meditation today, we might be able to reprogram the subconscious mind as well. We can bring that in if that's helpful in the session today, because I think that the subconscious mind is such a big part of these permissions that we have to rest. Moving from the mind into the soul. So what does rest look like on a soul level? For me, rest on a soul level is rest in being who we truly are. And that can be with soul companions, people that you don't need to, you can skip the small talk, feel truly connected, people that see you for who you are. It's just really easeful. Those kind of friendships and relationships, I feel like they feed the soul. It's resting because you're not having to do extra labor to kind of connect. Rest for the soul might look like work that's fulfilling and purposeful. And notice that a lot of this work is typically in service. I find nature is great rest for the soul, because every day I try to walk without my earphones in nature around Trim, and I find I usually come home and I have lots more ideas. I feel inspired, I feel hopeful. And I think, I always say this is because our soul recognizes itself in nature. It's like nature is this divine bridge where our soul gets to meet our human self. Our human self sees our soul and it bows. It gives over to the soul for creation, for that kind of spark that we all have. Because that creation, we all have that. We all have creative gifts, even people that don't believe that they're creative. Creative expression is a way that you express that creative, that divine spark within. So if you think about, creative gifts, we typically think of how we express them, like through dance, through speech, writing, singing, the arts, really, dancing and things like that. But yeah, I'm talking about what's that energy that causes you to want to write, that causes you to want to even read like poetry or to dance, to sing. What causes us to have that urge to create? Where does that urge come from? where is it in the body? Like, show me where that is, where do you feel it in the body? That divine spark that we're made from, that source energy that it's typically expressed through creation. Again, why we came here. And it's really clear to me that if we're unable to access this part of us, if we can't connect, how can we create authentically? How can we contribute if we cannot connect? And this kind of leads us into the body naturally, because the body is the vessel for the source energy. So just like the earth and the soil at the Hill of Ward is the vessel for the sacred energy within the land, whether that's the vortex or we want to say the goddess energy, the soil is being worked at the moment through farming. So it already has a job. Its energy is being spent growing crops. But because it's not necessarily aligned with the source energy of the land or its own sacred purpose, it means it doesn't really have much energy to connect there. So it's just like us. It's like, you ever hear of like a soul sucking job? You know what I mean? It's like when we're doing work or labor, or even in relationships where our energy is being spent, but we're not getting any energy back. This is how we understand the difference between labor that's fulfilling and labor that's draining. So labor that gives us energy, and labor then that takes the energy, or it's just draining. We never get that back. So the body is this sacred vessel that carries us through the lifetime, right? So it supports us physically, we know this, and it helps us to express our creative gifts. It needs nourishment. We always hear of like the 4 pillars of health. So that includes anti-stress, for the mind, but we also need sleep and water and light and movement. So I can't help but wonder with the Hill of Ward, if it wasn't farming and spending its energy growing crops, I wonder what that energy could do. Like, what is the mystical purpose there? I probably could find out, but I wouldn't even want to put more labor on the land. I'll wait until it's time. And it's the same for us. If our energy is constantly being spent in spaces where, we don't feel seen or heard or loved or valued, we're not able to connect to that source energy and to create in our life, then we'll never really know what we're capable of or what we can offer, and I think that's where the soul comes in as well with the body, because what's the point, if we can have a healthy body, right? But if what happens if we have a crushed soul? It's just as important to have health in every part of our life, because it's why we're here. We didn't come here just to do a job, we're more than that. We didn't come here to make other people happy per se at the detriment of our own happiness. The body helps to keep us alive, but what's a life with a crushed soul? That's what I would kind of ask us to look at, So when I was walking around Trim, I did ask the question to a tree that I do love and I visit every day, but just kind of about rest. And is it possible to co-create a life where rest is sacred and it's already woven into our life? And the answer that I heard and I received is, with regards to the tree, that obviously lives in nature, is I'm always resting, because I'm always resting in my being. I'm always resting in being. So the way I took that was, the tree is always present to what is. It's always present within its source energy. So even when it's completing all its tasks that a tree does, seen and unseen, known and unknown, it's always resting in being. And it's the same for us. We're always resting in being when we're present to what is. So rest is already woven into our lives. And it can be honored through reverence of the soul, through our connection to source energy, our intuition, our higher self, however this inner wisdom shows up for you. When we connect to this part of ourselves, it actually nourishes us. And this is where rest can be accessed. So when we ask that question, is it possible to co-create a life where rest is woven in? I would say yes. And it begins with weaving presence into our life. And then that way we can co-create work that is meaningful. We can co-create relationships that again give energy back too. Like if anyone has ever created something, you know that you're usually really excited and you're buzzing, you have all this energy, and when you share it, you get energy back. Anytime I even do these sessions, I feel that way. So if someone was to copy even this session, like verbatim, like word for word, and put it out there, even though it might be the exact same, they probably wouldn't have the energy that I received from it, because it was created through my, inner wisdom. So it's the same. We all have our own little unique way of creating and why we're here. And when we tap into that, it's incredibly restful because it nourishes us on every level. What nourishes the soul nourishes the body, and so on. So kind of went a little bit over, so we should really jump into the meditation portion. And as I said, we're going to offer healing to the land, to Tlachtga, and then I'm going to walk us through, facilitate a session for incorporating rest into our lives. So for these sessions, I always recommend getting a comfortable seat, and take time to get comfortable. Take a few deep breaths. So we're going to come together as a group by setting a group container. This group container is going to bring us into a bubble. So let's imagine there's an energetic bubble that surrounds our group, including people that are here live today and people that are watching this as a recording. Everybody is welcome. We're going to bring up an earth cord to ground our bubble, our group container. So let's imagine a really beautiful cord, an earth cord deep in the earth, and it's going to travel up through the soil, attach to the bottom of our container. And let's imagine that this earth cord is like a gold, shimmering gold color. We're going to welcome in universal energy. So above our container, we're going to imagine that there's a cord connecting us to the universe. Again, I like to see this energy as white or gold with lots of sparkles. I'm just going to invite that universal energy into our group container. We're also going to welcome in our spirit guides and our vaster wisdom. We're going to set some intentions for today. So we're going to set the intention that everybody is welcome. We're all safe here. It's a safe place to explore and learn more about ourselves. This is a space where resistance will come up, and that's okay. Resistance is welcome, and it will be gently released. This is a space where we're going to increase our permission to rest. Even if for some that might just mean I feel better about taking naps. And for other people, it might be transformation in all levels of their life. All capacities are welcome here. You have full permission to be sovereign, to participate in some parts, to check out for other parts. Your vaster wisdom and intuition gets to be in charge today. We are also going to set specific intentions to awaken rest that's already woven into our being and to come into harmony with nature for a more fulfilling and meaningful life. We're going to set the intention to release and transform any old programs, beliefs, or stories that are misaligned with our authentic truth or our highest path. We're going to invite new templates of rest to build a healthy relationship to rest. And if you'd like to set a personal intention or prayer for today, you can do so now. And I'd like to share my personal intention with the group if anyone would like to take this on. But to be an example of someone that is successful and well rested. Let's also welcome in infinite possibilities where the outcome for this meditation can go beyond our wildest dreams, maybe even miracles. So I invite you now to bring your attention to your personal aura, and this is your own magnetic field, your own personal bubble that surrounds you. We're going to ground ourselves. So let's refresh our grounding cord. Imagine we welcome up a brand new earth core deep in the earth. Allow it to travel through the earth's soil and attach the bottom of our feet. And allow this earth cord to get as wide as your aura. Just give yourself full permission just to exhale into the earth. And then I spoke a lot today already, so you have full permission to leave what I said outside of your aura. And your guides can choose whether to integrate that in or not, and when. We're also going to set the intention, any energy that's inauthentic to me gets to be released now into the earth. We're going to welcome in some universal energy. So above our head, let's imagine again that universal cord pouring in, moving through the 7 layers of our aura, moving through our energy centers, blessing us. Just dissolving any energy that's inauthentic or doesn't belong to us. We're going to recall our authentic energy. So let's imagine that above our head there is a really beautiful golden sun. And we're going to recall our authentic energy through all dimensions of space and time back into this golden sun. And our energies are going to be blessed and loved and updated by this sun. And we can imagine that we're going to pull a lever. And as we do, all of our authentic energy pours out from the sun into our aura, into our energy field, energy body, reintegrating back into our being. Now that we're resourced, we're going to, as a group, journey to the Hill of Ward, to Tlachtga. And as we arrive, we're going to say hello to the land and thank it for its such a beautiful theme and being such a graceful teacher. So let's introduce ourselves, what your name is, where you're from, what year it is, what your hopes and dreams are. We're going to ask the land, how can we help? How can we support the land in what it's up to? What does it need from us? And we can imagine that we say yes. We're going to say yes to whatever it needs and offer our own energetic gifts. If it needs love, we can imagine that we're washing over with a whole ocean of love and beautiful energies. We're going to offer our gratitude. I like to imagine a whole sky full of flowers like the Buddhist tradition. I like to imagine daisies. And we're just going to thank the land for all its work and its contribution, and let it know that we know its purpose is far greater, and we want to support it today. And we're going to offer it healing. This healing is for the land itself. It's for any beings, mystical beings that live there, that protect this sacred land. So we're going to wash over with earth energy. So we can imagine earth energy, however, whatever colors or textures show for you, just imagine it just washes over the land, in deep into the land as well, underneath, beneath the earth. And the earth energy is going to wash away any density, anything that's blocked or stuck. We're going to invite in some nourishing and soothing water. We're going to allow the water to wash over this land, moving deep in the soil beneath the surface. We're going to bring in the element of fire and allow the fire to wash over this land, moving through the soil, even the sky. And the fire is going to transmute anything karmic, inauthentic energies, any cords or projections from other people. We're going to bring in the element of wind. This is really important element. We're going to imagine that the wind moves from the sky and all the way down beneath the earth. And allow the wind to move through the spaces between the soil, making lots of space and room to breathe. Allowing movement for the vessel, for the soil. Space to rest. And we recognize that as this land rests, the more opportunity this source energy, that divine energy in the vortex beneath the earth can do its sacred work. We can offer blessings to the vortex. However that shows up for you is perfectly right. Let's bring in lots of sparkles and universal energy. Allow it to pour into the land of Tlachtga. We can even bring in a whole rainbow of frequencies and allow the rainbow frequencies to infuse the earth. We can even bring in earth energy from other sacred sites like Newgrange. And we're going to give the land full permission to ask for whatever it needs and whatever it wants from the earth and from the universe. allowing it full permission to heal and evolve. I'm going to give the Hill of War permission to call on me if it needs any work at any time. And if you want to make any commitment, you're welcome to do so. So now we're going to come back to ourselves. We've offered healing to the land. We've built a connection. We're building a relationship to this sacred land. Building trust again. So let's bring our attention back to our own personal aura again. Let's bring magnets in. You can imagine a magnet in front of you and a magnet behind you, and just start releasing energy into those magnets. Let's refresh your grounding cord and bring up a brand new grounding cord. We're going to refresh our connection to the earth here. Anything inauthentic in our field gets to be released into the earth. Now, I want you to imagine that in front of you, there's a really big bubble. This bubble has its very own earth cord and its very own universal cord. So it's connected, it's resourced. And I want you to put in this bubble everything that you think rest is. You might throw in naps. Maybe rest is taking a walk in nature. Maybe rest is lying on the couch, watching Netflix. Maybe you have no idea what rest is because we've never really had any model for rest. We can put in, I don't know. And there's also positive ways to rest that we've learned as well. We can put them into rest through work that we love, service we love, relationships that feed us, that nourish us. We're going to put all we know into this bubble. And we're going to allow everything in this bubble now to be released into the earth, to dissolve into the earth, to be composted, to be healed. And our guides are now going to bring in new examples of rest that are aligned with our authentic truth, with ourselves. So we can imagine now that our guides are just bringing in channels, downloads, templates, and frameworks of how to rest in 2022 in ways that are authentic to us, in ways we didn't even know was possible. The Akashic records are going to download frameworks of rest. So just allow that to happen. Just be open. Allow this bubble to be filled with new ways of resting that are authentic and will nourish us and help us to co-create a really beautiful, meaningful life. And anything that's inauthentic in this bubble can, step outside the bubble. And our guides are now going to bless this bubble, imbue it with so much love and wisdom. Our guides are going to bless this bubble. And if it feels good, bring it into your aura now and just allow that to integrate gently. Now we're going to create a symbol that represents our subconscious mind. And this symbol can be anything. It can be a shape, a star, a flower, a seashell, whatever symbol feels really appropriate or just pops into your mind, into your intuition. Just allow that symbol to sit in front of you. This is your subconscious mind. So notice how close it is to you. Notice how you feel about your subconscious mind. What size is it? What color is it? And just allow your inner wisdom to change how you relate to your subconscious mind. If you want to bring it closer, bring it closer, or maybe move it away if that feels comfortable. You can make it brighter. You can change the color if you want. Let's just offer our subconscious mind healing. So first we'll just bring in an earth cord so it has access and connection to the earth. So let's bring in a nice earth cord. We're going to give this symbol its very own universal cord as well, so it's connected to the universe. We're going to give it lots of space and just permission to breathe and just be. And just notice some qualities that are there. Maybe power or strength. And let's notice parts that are unprocessed in our subconscious mind, parts that need our attention, our awareness, parts that need healing. So let's allow that symbol, our subconscious mind, know that we're going to offer a healing now. So we're going to bring in the element of earth and allow earth to wash over this symbol. Again, moving through any density, anything that's blocked or stuck. We're going to bring in nourishing and soothing water. You can even choose whatever body of water feels most appropriate, maybe ocean water or a lake, or maybe a river, fierce river. We're going to welcome in the element of fire. Just slowly allow the fire to move over this symbol, to wash over this symbol. And the fire is going to transmute any karmic energies, any cords of enmeshment. It's going to complete any contracts or vows and agreements that are ready to be completed in the background based on this new criteria. We're going to welcome in the element of wind. We're going to ask if there's any lessons that are still left within our subconscious mind. We're going to allow them to be uploaded now into our Akashic records. You don't need to worry about this. Just allow your guides to do this on your behalf. And now let's make a really beautiful energetic spa. And we're going to place the symbol, our subconscious mind, in this spa. And just give it full permission to be totally cared for and totally loved. Let's celebrate our subconscious mind for keeping us safe, for working so hard and getting us this far. Just give it full permission to receive and just to rest. And now that our mind is in a restful state, we're going to remove a couple of programs that might not be as supportive for us now, right? So let's move into the program that rest is lazy, or it's for lazy people. And just allow any pictures that want to come up, any moments in time or memories that are coming up with this program, just allow them to sit in front of you. Might be a lot of teenage memories. And we're going to offer these pictures and these moments in time healing. Again, let's use the elements by washing over with earth energy. We'll wash over with nourishing and soothing water. We'll wash over with the element of fire. The fire is going to transmute any cords of enmeshment, karmic energies. We'll bring in the element of wind and offer a final clearing to these pictures. Let's bring in some cosmic energy, golden cosmic energy, to infuse each of these pictures, allowing them to be fully healed and complete. Now let's watch them burst into light. Lovely. And now allow your authentic truth to rest, to arise. Who is rest for? You might say, rest is an integral part of life, a part of creation. Rest makes me more productive, helps me contribute more value. Rest is honoring who I am at a cellular level. Rest is honoring who I am on a spiritual level. Just allow your own authentic truth, your relationship to rest. Just allow that to be uploaded into your subconscious mind. And we're going to give our subconscious mind full permission to heal, to evolve, to awaken. And you can allow that imagery to just dissolve and integrate. And now we're going to welcome earth energy into the first energy center. So let's imagine really beautiful earth energies moving into our feet, all the way up into the base of our spine, to the first energy center. You just give your first energy center full permission to be held and to be supported by the earth. Allow earth energy to wash over your first energy center. Let's give our first energy center, our root chakra, permission to get as big as it wants to get. As expansive as it truly is. Any energy that's ready to be released can be released now into the earth. It's really difficult for us to give ourselves permission to rest, but we can allow ourselves to receive the earth's permission to rest, recognizing that the earth is the ultimate mother. It made our bodies, it sustains us, it holds us today, and it has unconditional love for us. So let's welcome up the earth's permission for us to rest. You can imagine these really beautiful energies moving into the first energy center, swirling around, healing and evolving our first energy center with the earth's permission to rest. The earth's giving us permission to rest, knowing that it's safe to rest. It's an integral part of life is rest. And allow the earth to bring in templates and frameworks of what true rest, sacred rest looks like. What it feels like. Just allow all these templates to update your first energy center. We're going to give our first energy center permission to heal and evolve. And now we're going to bring our attention to that part of you that loves to create, our own source energy. Whenever you feel like creating, where is that urge from? Find it in the body. Allow your inner awareness, your intuition, just to find in the body that part of us that can never be depleted. It can never be erased or removed. This is the part of you that is infinite. You might be drawn to your solar plexus or to your heart, your throat, just wherever you're drawn to, just bring your awareness to that part of your body now. We're going to allow this part of us to expand, imagining it gets really expansive, full permission to breathe, to take up space, recognizing that this is our source energy, this is our divine flame, our spark that allows us to create. It holds the wisdom of why we're here, how we can contribute on a soul level. This is the part of us that is going to light up the path ahead. It's going to illuminate the darkness for ourselves, for our community. So let's really honor this part of ourselves, validate this really important part of who we are. And sometimes we are in societies or structures that don't really validate that part of us, but we're going to do it now. So let's offer this part of us a healing. We can wash over with earth energy. We can wash over with nourishing and soothing water. Let's wash over with the element of fire. The fire is going to transmute any karmic energies. It's going to complete contracts that are ready to be completed in the background. The fire is going to maybe ignite something that we're ready to create. Bring in the element of wind. The wind's going to offer final healing and clearing and just making all that more beautiful space. We're going to bring in a rainbow of energies and just allow the rainbow to pour into this part of your body, this source energy, your higher self. We'll bring in earth energy that will give this part of you, this aspect of you, full permission to ask whatever you need and whatever you want from the earth and from the universe. And we're going to ask this part of us to collaborate so that we can co-create a life where we're in harmony and flow of who we are and where rest is woven into our lives in a way that's meaningful, purposeful, where we're abundant, where our needs are taken care of. So let's imagine that this, our own divine spark, just allow this to move up our channels into our heart, our throat, our mind's eye, our crown. It's also going to flow down our channels into our second energy center, our root chakra, down through our feet. We're going to allow this energy to move into our aura. We're going to give this energy permission to take up space and to help us co-create a life of a really beautiful life where rest is an integral part. Now let's send this really beautiful healing energy back in time throughout our lineage, so that our lineage also gets to rest and has permission to rest. Let's allow this healing energy evolve our present reality. We're also going to send this healing energy forward in time so that it can align us with our highest path or the most suitable, highest probability. We're going to recall our authentic energies again into that beautiful golden sun. We're going to recall any fragments of our soul, of our identity. They're going to be blessed and updated. And again, let's pull that lever and imagine that all of our authentic energies pour into our aura, into our energy centers, into our entire being. We'll bring in more sparkles. Let's refresh our grounding cord. Let's bring in some earth energy to structure our aura based on all this big work that we just did. And we're going to pretend that we hit a reset button. So we're going to reset our self-concept and identity. We're going to allow this work to heal and evolve our relationships and how we move through relationships. We're going to hit the reset button on our belief structures and our reality. And now let's send this healing energy out to any beings that also want to rest, that want to have new templates for rest and sacred rest, allow it to weave into their lives. Let's come back into our group container. Send our gratitude to our guides, to the earth, to the universe, to one another. We're going to send back each other's energies. And we'll recall our authentic energy one last time. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes, come back to this video. And thank you for devoting some of your time to this theme, to Tlachtga, to yourself. Please do let me know if this session manifests positively in your life, if you find new ways to rest, new ways of being that allow you to rest and nourish yourself. If you've ever any questions, you are more than welcome to reach out anytime. So thank you for listening.